What's up, everybody? Here again with BookTube. Today I brought in a very special guest to discuss one of my favorite books. Deb.
The Hate You Give.
Yes, that is what we're looking at today. I'm so excited to talk about this. Now, before we get first impressions, then we gotta figure out who's going to do first impressions first. And we do that with rock, paper, scissors. Ready? Rock, paper, scissors. Why can't I get this? Are you doing says shoot or just?
No.
So rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. I won. Okay. My first impressions, can I hold the book for this?
Sure.
Is that this is an amazing book. It came out of a lot of hardship that was happening in the African American community, and I'm glad that someone decided to speak up in a way that would reach so many people. And to be honest, even though I'm an English teacher, this is probably going to be bad to say, this is the first book I've ever read that was over 400 pages. Read and finished. What are your impressions?
I think that it spoke a lot about a lot of things that people weren't really talking about, and it worked in that aspect because it got all ranges of people to start reading it.
Right. So I have to be honest when I talk about this book, is that a lot of it is that it brought this fear to the surface for me that I didn't really, it's not that I didn't acknowledge it, it's just that I was living with it. So when I read yeah, exactly. It was something that I experienced and I was like, oh, well, it's just that way. And I never saw anything like that ever show up in a book. I think Angie Thomas did a great job of bringing everything to light and using her voice and the skills that she had to encourage activism. Because what I find about literature is that something doesn't become fiction until it has happened enough. So by this point, like, what was on the last page?
The part when she says like everybody's names and like all the people that had died and the people that were like martyrs, for example, or like the people that didn't really do anything wrong, but they still got the consequences or their life taken away for it.
Yeah, and what's crazy is that she didn't have to fictionalize any of that. Like those are,
because it was real.
Yeah, those are all real names of real people who have been through this experience, and that book reflects this.
I honestly was pretty mad when it ended, mostly because it ended with saying, Khalil, I'll never forget, I'll never give up, I'll never be quiet, I promise. But then it doesn't go into more depth, and it's kind of like a cliffhanger, and it leaves you wanting more. It almost just stops and you're waiting for everything to happen, and it's kind of, and I don't want to say annoying, but it's kind of upsetting that it stops because it's such a good book and it says everything that needs to be said, that you're sitting there wanting more and you're like waiting for it, and then poof, it's just over.
Right, so you want this to be like a 1,000-page book.
Yes.
So I would say to you, what's interesting about that is that like when you think about some of the issues that people deal with in minority communities in which they're oppressed or they experience something bad, is that they still have to carry and live with it, and they don't get to crumble under that pressure. They just got to keep moving. So it's kind of like, this happened, now I got to do the rest of my life. Because she was a junior in high school during the story, right? Star is a great character because one, we need assertive female characters in books. We need characters where students, like you and like other students that we have, can see themselves, and where other people can see different kinds of people also be heroic. Like heroism isn't exclusive to one kind of person.
It's everyone.
Right, yeah. So with Star, it was like, I just found it so interesting that she was so reluctant to speak because she needed to see someone do it. And then what ended up happening was that
she was almost afraid to say what she thought in her head, even though she knew what she was going to say was right.
She was the one who had to do it. She had to stop waiting. She had to be the one to step up. Woo! Heavy stuff. One of the major things in this book that Angie Thomas did was that she wanted to honor one of her heroes, which is Tupac Shakur, who was a rapper, and unfortunately he died very young. And he was a polarizing figure. Now, I don't know Tupac that well, and part of that is because I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and I'm a Biggie fan. But Angie loves Tupac. Star, her character in the book, loves Tupac. Star's dad, Big Man, loves Tupac. Khalil even loved Tupac. And what I noticed is that your email, your icon is Tupac.
Yeah.
So you also love Tupac.
I love Tupac.
Tell me more about this.
I think that it's just captivating how he spoke to so many different people, and what he said had so much value with so many genres of people. But I feel like what really gave it to me was the fact that Thug Life actually stood for something important. It stood for the hate you give little infants, F's everybody. And it makes so much sense once you actually think about it, because when you're a child, you suck in so much information, and like you're basically a sponge, because you absorb everything that everybody tells you, and like you observe everything because you don't know everything at that point. So it literally does. It kills everybody in like the future. Not necessarily kill, but it can either hurt someone or it can help them, because we are the future.
Right.
Because we are taking the information from the people of our past and we're putting it towards our future.
Right. And I feel, now this is the little bit that I do know about Tupac, is that I feel like his life as a whole is that he was struggling with what he inherited while also trying to be something else. But I think what everyone has to realize, and this is clearly in the book because it's all within Khalil's character about being judged as a drug dealer, is that when you grow up around, negativity, those negative aspects can be absorbed by you, and it takes time to get out of that. It takes time to see things differently. It takes time to make up your mind to do something different. It's like, when we see that in our lives, in the real world, do we ever ask, like, why is this kid doing this? Do they need help? How can we help?
Because he doesn't have the resources that he needs to be able to go to school and get the education that he wants, to be able to go to college. He has to end up working on the streets, probably like people in the history of his family.
All right, so Deb, I have a big question.
Okay.
All right, you hold up your book cover, and I'm gonna hold up the movie cover. Right. So here's what I want to know: the hate you give. The girl on the book is Star, and the girl on this movie cover is also Star, but they look pretty different. What are your impressions of that? What do you think?
I think that the book did a better job of portraying her, mostly just because it gives you a visual through the book because of all of the detail that it gives you, but it doesn't give you so much like facial recognition. But I feel like that part wasn't really important. It was mostly like the things that she had to say, whereas I think she had, like, when in the book when we could like hear her thoughts and read her thoughts and understand everything that was running through her mind at those points, it was just a better portrayal of her than in the movie.
So that's crazy, because what you're saying is that in a story where what the main character looks like to everyone that's around her, it doesn't matter to you because you were more focused on her thoughts and feelings and her actions and motives and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Can you tell me more about that?
Angie Thomas does such a great job of putting it into detail and perspective,
Right.
that we understand everything that's going on so well, that her as like image-wise, like we don't really need to know that part. It's not as necessary, and I feel like she does a great job of describing it but not doing too much on looks.
So like black is a range of things. Like, people who fall into certain like categories. I don't want to put them in categories, but different kinds of people fall on a spectrum, right? Like she doesn't have to look a certain way and act a certain way to be that, because she is that, right? Oh, I love it. That's like that one episode of Fresh Prince, where Will and Carlton are where they're trying to pledge.
Yep.
Yeah, and Will Carlton gets into it at the end because he's like, black isn't what I'm trying to be, black is what I am.
Yeah.
I think this is a wonderful book. It's definitely one of my favorites, and I love giving it to whoever is willing to read it. So I obviously would recommend it. But Deb, what do you think?
I would definitely recommend The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, because it's an amazing book and it gives you a whole lot of information about the black community and the people that are in it, and it talks about the things that should be talked about but aren't yet. And I feel like it will definitely give people more of an idea about what is going on in people's lives and the things that we go through.
I don't have anything else to say. It was great. Good.